Hey, and welcome to what I believe, if I'm counting correctly, is week 9 of Transformation 101. I can tell from looking at your templates each week that really all of you are really getting a great handle on this program. You guys are um, having great meal construction. They're all, um, those of you who, excuse me, are logging food regularly are getting um, your 6 meals in, which is fantastic. If you learn in the beginning, meal frequency really takes priority over all other things. So you're definitely getting that, which is perfect. Then on top of that, you're getting the composition of your meal spreads. So it has a lean, complete protein source. It has window appropriate carbs. It has your omega-3 fats, and all of those are incredibly important to building a nutritional foundation from which your overall goals will really take root and grow. I apologize in advance. I'm really hoping that y'all can hear me. I realized today that I don't have my headphones, which have my little microphone here, so I'm really hoping that this works. If it does not, I will happily record again. So just let me know. And I'll try to speak extra loud just in case. Um, I do want to go over a couple of things, and I don't have slides for any of this, but just a couple of points that I want to discuss. Keep in mind that as you go through different stages in life, different phases, that you're not necessarily always going to be able to do everything perfectly. We've talked about in the past having that clean slate, having giving yourself a little bit of grace. Um, we're all gonna mess up. Right here, I'm playing onto a cheese stick. I mean, it is organic, but probably not grass fed, and so it's not the perfect post meal, post workout snack. But my protein shake makes me feel sick, so I did that so that it wouldn't help me. So maybe I wouldn't feel nauseous and have to like run away in the middle um, of our webinar. So, I know some people watching this have, some health issues. Some are facing some hormonal imbalances. There's a lot of things going on that, to be real, something like a pregnancy, something like, a long-term illness. Those are going to kind of derail a little bit the things that that those, best laid plans. But keep in mind that it's for the most part not permanent. Um, so as you um, get into a place where, like for me personally, like, we've been moving, as you can see, the boxes and crazy going on right now in the bedroom. Um, incredibly stressful. I am trying to juggle a lot of things, and it's you just personal page on my book. Life is very stressful for me right now. I find that when I get stressed, I get really anxious. When I'm anxious, I'm nauseous. When I'm nauseous, I don't want to eat. So there's a lot of things that come into play where it can very easily get discouraged and say, well, these are all holistic things that I can't do. Focus on the things that you can do. Focus on what on what things can go right. Maybe the only thing that you're able to eat that's healthy is, some fruit or some yogurt because, it's maybe all you're able to sit down at a certain time. That's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. Because really all it's going to do is add more stress, which is going to make it so much harder for you to get through whatever it is that you're going through. Figure out what you can do, what will work, and make the best of the situation. For me, liquid meals really do great because a lot of times when I'm really stressed and anxious, I don't want to like swallow, but I can drink something. So there's a lot of things that you can do to really help make things easier. And I think ultimately what makes things easier is just giving yourself some grace and saying, look, you know what, it's not always going to be like this. I'm going to cut myself some slack. I'm going to take it back a step. Do what you can do. And the next thing that I want to talk about briefly is just reviewing what constitutes metabolically precise meals. So inside the metabolic window, we have And actually, you know what? I actually do have slides on this, so let me read. There's a shameless plug, and this is really not to suck more money out of you, but after going through this program with y'all, I really see a lot of holes. I'm gonna go ahead and just call it that. You know, of things that um, that I've seen that I would love to have time to go more in depth or have more be able to spend a little more time on. So going forward, this program is actually going to be a 6-month program. And it's going to include all things that we've already discussed, some things in a little more detail, some things gloss over a little bit, but really have a little bit longer, because I think that, especially as we're approaching the end of these 12 weeks, that we will tend to that be webinars. And I think I might add a couple of webinars just in there for free, because they really just want to teach you guys some stuff. But we have, I want to give you guys the opportunity to hop in on that if you want to. Not for the full 6-month price, your intro rate still, but you get the 3 months already paid for that you already did. Just as an opportunity for you to go a little bit further, to get a little bit more info out of it, get more consistency. It ultimately, it's extra 6 months instead of just 3 more months. To really help lay those plans and get a little bit further into your goals. And this is something that we'll talk about there. So I think I have it shown the screen again. I think I'd be used to this by now. So high energy carbs, we've talked about this, and this is really touching on metabolic nutrition, the metabolic window, and what foods are best when. So we talk about high energy carbs. Those are like processed plant foods, so like breads, breakfast cereals, pastas, etc. And those really giving you a lot of energy to the body really quickly. So they're digesting fast. When they digest quickly, that spikes your blood sugar, that makes insulin. Your body produces, or from our pancreas, insulin, and unless we're inside our metabolic window, that is all getting stored as fat. So, we talked about before, there's no such thing as good or bad foods. There's just good and bad times to eat them. So these kind of foods are ideal for inside the window for all goals. So things like oats, bananas, potatoes, breads, like you said, the bread, cereals, pastas, etc. Inside the window for all your goals. And if you have a weight loss goal, they need to remain inside the window at all times for all your meals. If you're not inside a metabolic window, you need to save those high energy carbs for those other times. Now, you do get a little bit of grace. Again, we talked about having, 95% adherence, and that is going to be, great for, for having a couple meals each week if you really need to. That will give you some leeway on that. But ideally, you want to save those for inside the window, because that's going to get you to your goals the fastest. Now, if you're trying to maintain your weight, you're happy with where you are, you're happy with everything, your weight, your shape, all of that, you can have outside the window carbs, you can have inside the window carbs, outside of your window, for 50% of your meals each day. So if you're eating your 6 meals, 3 of those meals can contain those high energy carbs that will help you, have a little bit more balance and leeway. So going forward, I want those of you to understand who have a weight loss goal that it doesn't always have to be this. Once you reach your goal, things change a little bit. Your body doesn't need, doesn't need those same, doesn't adhere to those same timing standards when you're trying to maintain the weight. And now keep in mind that you may see weight gain even up to more than 50% of that, depending on your body type. So the more you're in that metabolic class B or C, you may still find that your body won't just maintain, but may gain a little bit of weight. So you have to kind of watch it a little bit and see what your body is looking for. And then if you have athletic performance goals or weight gain goals, trying to build muscle, trying to add some mass, you can have high energy carbs. You should be having high energy carbs at all meals. And keep in mind that the more processed they are, the harder it's going to be for your body to digest them. So we're looking for things like whole grains, whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, um, you know, foods in there as close to your natural state, quinoa, brown rice, etc. That has had minimal processing. And just as a just show you the opposite, the low energy carbohydrates, those are the unrefined ones. So that's typically fruits, vegetables, beans. They are nutrient dense. They have very few calories. And whether or not, no matter what your goal is, when you should be including these at every meal. So having said that, hopefully that kind of sheds a little bit of light. So there's been a little bit of confusion, and not so much confusing, but just I just wanted to lay that out there so that you have that understanding as a little refresher. Today, what I would like to talk about are supplements. So we're going to talk about it's something you'll be familiar with because we have discussed them before in the peons, like the whey protein and creatine and the omega-3. But today we're going to go just a little bit more in depth, really the how and the why, and what these foods are doing, not really foods, but what these supplements are doing in your body. So this is the supplements in your program. Every time I try and click on it, it goes away. So there's a little bit of computer illiterate today. All right, so supplementation for transformation. Now I want to go all the way to the end and show you this resource that has at the end references to all of this. I really want you to understand that what I'm presenting to you today is based on research and science. So this is has the yes, I'm eating my juice shake because juice is something I'm like fully addicted to, and it can't just sit there without me eating it. But this is, if you're looking for more information on any of these, this is where I'm getting all of that information from. So ideally, the function of supplements is to enhance rather than replace optimal nutrition and exercise. So it's kind of like an insurance plan. You get insurance for your car, and insure yourself as a driver. It doesn't really mean that you're going to go out and be reckless and just start like running over pedestrians and like driving across bridges and doing all of these crazy things. At least not if you are of sound mind and judgment. So, it's really for those times where you're, a little negligent, or you sneeze, something like that. It's really based on a great insurance policy is really based on the bare minimum of what you need to cover you in the event that something happens just beyond your control. Well, that's really where supplements fall. It's really not a green light to go and say, hey, I'm just going to eat whatever I want, because my supplements are going to take care of that. Because they really can't fix bad nutrition. They can only enhance good nutrition. There are ultimately 3 levels of supplements. There are foundational products, which is what we're going to talk about today. These are products that have just an abundance of direct and indirect evidence showing that what they claim to do, they actually do. And specific products, those have a relatively substantial amount of indirect evidence and some clinical backing. They're basically like, foundation products are something that everyone should really use. Just based on science and looking, everyone who exercises, I should say. And specific products, those are more like once you have the foundation products mastered, once your nutrition and your exercise is ideal, specific products are things that could give you an advantage. They may not, and they may. But ultimately they're there. That's kind of like a second. Speculative and experimental evidence just really doesn't show a whole lot for, maybe the side effects outweigh the benefits. There's, they could help you. I personally wouldn't recommend them, just because, for two reasons. One, they could just be downright dangerous, because they don't, they could be doing, um, just because of what they could be doing to your body. Or, you're just really paying for expensive products that aren't giving you any advantage, that, are just, as the saying goes in the industry, they're just, expensive and urine, because your body doesn't have a use for them. But today we're going to talk about the foundation products, and I'll make available to the information in specific products so that you have that for down the road. Keep in mind that when you buy supplements, that you get what you pay for. A lot of times clients have come to me and said, wow, I got this whey protein supplement and it's only $10 for this giant tub and it's such a great deal. I really caution people when it comes to supplements. And this is why. The FDA, quote unquote, regulates supplements in the US. But and regulates is in quotations, because the FDA, while they say that they regulate this, there's really no burden on the FDA to investigate. They place the burden with the manufacturer to ensure safety and to test their products. That's really kind of a horrible business model, if you ask me. As long as, a lot of it is until the FDA gets a substantial amount of complaints about a certain product or anything like that. It's there's really not a whole lot that's keeping supplement companies in check. Now, this is not to say that all supplement companies are bad. There are many supplement companies, in fact, who really go above and beyond, and I will share that with you at the end. Sorry, I made myself a note so I remember to tell you something later and lost my train of thought. Anyway, companies are not required to get FDA approval for the sale of supplements. So ultimately, I don't have any solid statistics on this. I would say that there is a significant amount of supplements out there that are bad. That doesn't mean that all products are bad. Doesn't mean that all companies are bad. It just means that you really need to always ask the question, where's the research? Where's your third-party backing? What steps do you take as a company to ensure that your products are safe? There's a lot of reports about whey protein, in particular, containing things like nitrogen droppings, heavy metal poisoning, many things like that, because the standards just aren't there to keep in mind, to track. So that's why it's really important to use companies that are that take that extra step to really ensure their products are safe. And I'll show you at the end. I'll share with you a link for a program that I really like that independently tests products for various things. And there are actually several products on that list that I have used in the past and have endorsed long before I don't get anything out of endorsing them. It's just, I know that I've used them, that they have a great reputation, so that's what I recommend. As far as foundation products, we've got 5 of them. We have a whey protein isolate, creatine monohydrate, bioactive omega-3s, carbohydrate supplements, and sports drinks, and vitamin and minerals, which is basically a multivitamin. Whey protein isolate is the purest form derived from the milk proteins. So whey protein, there are 2 milk proteins, and there's casein and whey. Whey is the fast digesting. Whey protein isolate is virtually sugar-free. It has lactose-free. It is allergen-free. So it is, if you have any milk sensitivities or anything like that, which even if you don't in general, sometimes people do just around exercise, the whey protein isolate is the way to go. Now you can also do like a concentrate, like 80% or greater concentrate. That's also a really great thing. It's also fine and just as good as far as performance goes and usage. It's just that whey protein isolate is just kind of that extra step. You don't want to get anything that's less than 80% concentrate. That tends to be much more fat and sugar. Like I said, the whey protein isolate is fast digesting, which means that it's going to really improve your exercise performance and boost your recovery from exercise. Whey protein isolate is high in branched chain amino acids, which your body will actually use for energy during exercise if it needs to. So rather than breaking down muscle tissue while you work out, it is actually your body will actually use the branched chain amino acids and spare that precious muscle tissue that we've talked about it being so metabolically active and important. Because it's fast digesting, it improves your recovery from exercise because it rushes to your body, into your muscle tissues, and it actually has, and I don't know if my slides have this later, I need to make a note of this if it doesn't, but it actually, when combined with the carbohydrate supplement and the creatine monohydrate, which those two that we'll talk about later, those three together combined really have what's called a synergistic effect, where the sum of the whole is greater than its parts. So together they become much better. So with the results that you can get from taking just whey protein or just carbohydrates after your workout, when you take them together, it actually significantly increases the results that you can get. And when you add creatine to that mix, it even gets more exponentially better from there. Which is to say that when you recover better from exercise, when your muscle tissue can be as sensitive as possible after, that means that you are burning much more calories, you're burning much more fat, and you're building precious muscle tissue, which is going to give you shape and definition and tone, while increasing your metabolism and muscle, like we talked about, burns fat even at rest. So while you're sleeping, while you're watching TV, while you're cooking dinner, while you're doing these things that comprise 95% of our day, outside of, even more than that, outside of exercise, it actually makes sure it turns your body into a great machine, but essentially a machine. Whey protein isolate also has a great component called glutathione, which is the only known food source to boost. It's basically an anti-aging property, essentially. It really defends against toxins. It is a really important antioxidant, and it actually stimulates muscle protein. So whenever you eat protein in general, but especially whey protein, whenever you consume this, it actually stimulates muscle building just because you drink it. Now, the caveat of that is that it also, I believe I've read that it's only about 50%. So about half of it burns, builds muscle. The other half, without exercise, without proper, if all you did was drink whey protein and you didn't exercise, it wouldn't, it's still going to have the other effects that if you just sat around and ate a whole lot of food that it would do. But having it as part of your program, eating it as continuous liquid meals, and other things, around your workouts, it stimulates muscle protein synthesis, which means that just drinking it, as part of your liquid meals and even just throughout your day, really has a great impact on your overall definition and tone. Your daily intake of protein should be at least 1 gram per pound of body weight. Now, that could be as much as up to 3 grams. It's been shown that over 3 grams per pound, 3 grams per kilogram of body weight is safe. The whey isolate supplements are really going to help you in that goal. Because they're liquid, they're not going to make you feel as full. They are going to be more fast digesting. That's a really great way to, and inexpensive, honestly, because depending on how you purchase it, and I typically buy mine, although I did buy my current tub at Costco, is about the same price as what I would pay on Amazon. I tend to buy it in bulk, about 5 to 10 pounds at a time, and just store it in a cool, dry place. Make sure it's sealed. But that way, when you buy it in larger quantities, it's a lot cheaper. And it's just a very easy thing to do. It should always be part of your pre and post workout routine. When you are kind of creating this, whether it's a shake, whether you're pairing it with your, combining your whey protein with carbohydrates, like a carbohydrate supplement, or a whole food version, whole food source like toast or banana or rice cakes, something like that. You want to aim for about a 3-to-1 ratio of carbs to protein post-workout, with getting about 1 gram per kilogram body weight of carbs. So it's a little confusing because it's in complete gibberish. So we'll break it down. 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. So if your body weight, and I don't know if this is going to share my, let's see here. So if we look at someone who is about 150 pounds, you divide your weight by 2.2, and that gives you your body weight in kilograms. So for me, I'd be around a little, let's see, I think I'm actually 145 right now. So I'm about 66, just to call it even, 66 kilograms. So when we look at how much that is, we are looking at, that's a lot. That's a lot of carbohydrates when you think about it. So that's about, I'm looking for about, 66 grams of carbohydrates. And I'm going to divide that by 3 to give me about 22 grams of protein that I need. Does that make sense? You have 3 times more carbohydrates than protein. So if your body weight, let's say you are 175 pounds, divided by 2.2, that gives you about 79.5 kilograms. So if you're looking at, I'm kind of trying to so you can write this image up. You're basically going to find your weight in kilograms, which is your body weight. So let's just, for sake of that, 175 divided by 2.2, 70, so that's 79.5 kilograms. You take your kilograms, 1 gram per kilogram body weight of carbohydrates, and that's probably a little high, unless you did something super intense for a super long time, which really wouldn't fall into our ice category. I would say, honestly, you probably need a little bit less than that. But kind of gauge it and play with it and see, how your body feels. I would start with maybe half of that, and build from there, but still be keeping that the ratio of 3-to-1 of what your ideally would be. So you're looking for about 1/3 of your body weight for grams of protein. So then you're going to divide by 3, and you need about 26 grams of protein post-workout. Now, if your body doesn't have a whole lot of if your body weight, your body fat composition is lower or is higher than about 26, 27%, then you're really looking for a little bit less protein, just because it's really more based on your original. If you have questions with that, let me know. We can chat about that further. I don't want to bore you if you get it, but at the same time, I know it can sound like a lot of gibberish. So another fun fact about whey protein is that supplementing with at least 30 minutes prior to a meal actually can help you feel more full, so that you eat a little bit less at your mealtime. So what I like to recommend is, especially going into the holidays, you know, in this time of year when we have a lot more social engagements and that kind of thing. You know, if you know that you're going out to dinner, when you're going to a party, when you're going somewhere where there's going to be, you know, a buffet, lots of food temptations, that kind of thing. You know, drink a protein shake before you go in. No one has to know. You can do it in your car. You can do it in the bathroom. I mean, personally, why be ashamed? You know, explain to people what you're doing, spread the love, spread the word, um, and help other people, you know, kind of find what you found in this lifestyle. But drinking that shake before you go will actually help you to not um, to not eat as much. You know, then you can go. You know, then you've had you know, if, for example, if you're going to, you know, a party, you know, then you've had your protein. So if there's things like chicken fingers and, you know, there's hot dog roll, pigs in a blanket, you know, those kind of things that aren't really necessarily so great. You know, lunch meats, that kind of stuff. You know, you've already checked off your box for your protein, and you can fill up on some veggies to kind of, you know, if you do, you know, in that balance of being metabolically precise. So, you know, or it at least can help you to to eat a little bit less while you're there. And then, like I said before, you really pay for what you get what you pay for. Excuse me. It's really important to get a reputable brand, and um, and really, you know, it's worth the extra money. You know, it's like, um, you know, comparing, um, you know, I can't even think of two things. It'd be like, um, you know, the difference in like buying a Tesla or buying scooter. I mean, sure, you're saving a lot of money, have, you know, save you a lot of money by buying a scooter, but if you are trying to like transport your family to four and whatever, it's really not going to get you very far. I know it was a horrible analogy, it's just so I can really think right now. So moving ahead, creatine monohydrate, and I've included that first bullet because a lot of people, myself included in the past, really feel like creatine is like steroid, is just you know, something that's completely unsafe. I remember a good friend of mine in high school was supplementing with creatine. I mean, I remember thinking that like, oh my God, you're gonna die. Like, and it wasn't until much later that I realized and got into the, you know, got into this industry and really read the research that I said, wow, like this is, you know, something that's really, really great for you and safe. Now, keep in mind there are many different forms of creatine. Creatine monohydrate specifically is the only format that has actually been thoroughly researched and is proven to have the benefits that we're discussing today. I believe that in some of the NP on the NP website that some of it actually refers to creatine ethyl ester. Um, I'll double check on that, but I know there's a version that they talk about, and it's basically the same thing. Or I mean, it is the same thing. Creatine is actually found in our bodies. 95% of it, the stores are found in our skeletal muscle. It is used. Creatine kinase is the actual byproduct that is used um, directly with energy production. So, show you this big crazy graph where you do all this, you know, or this chart where you do all this stuff, and it basically it's basically used as a byproduct directly to produce energy. So, and that energy is used to do everything from, you know, pump your heart to lifting weights to running, so forth. So the more that you, excuse me, the more creatine that you have in your body, the more storage that you have, the more energy that you're going to be able to produce, because your body has those stores readily available that it just takes it up and makes it, can convert it into energy. It also means that your body has to do less to recover from being depleted of energy. So it's really important and beneficial to have this, to use this as a supplement. Food sources include grass-fed and wild caught meats and fish. supplement forms are actually derived from corn and other plant materials, but it's all virtually the same. Now, you could get your recommended creatine source just from whole food. I think that I've read that you would have to eat like, you know, a couple pounds of beef, so which can get pretty expensive. So, and you know, killing it has all sorts of you know, not benefits, but you certainly could get this from Whole Foods. Now, for just to kind of give a caveat here, creatine is safe if you to use while you're pregnant and breastfeeding. If, and I say this because we have a lot of women out there, but only if you were using it before you were pregnant. They have not done studies to necessarily, there's nothing necessarily to indicate that using it after you become pregnant would be unsafe, but there's just not the research to say that, so I can't say it with any certainty. But I just want you to know that if you do start taking it and you become pregnant, you can certainly continue to use it during pregnancy. It has been shown to be safe. And if you're breastfeeding, I've continue to supplement with creatine throughout breastfeeding Manta. They actually add creatine monohydrate to infant formula. So it's, you know, and they get it in much higher quantities there than, and because, you know, they use cow's milk derivatives as well, you know, formula actually has higher storage of creatine than breast milk does. And no one's ever reported negative effects that way. So keep those in mind. Overall, creatine monohydrate is among the most extensively researched supplements on the market. There has been some research to suggest that I believe there was one study in the 70s that showed adverse effects to kidneys. And it was later found that the individual or individuals who had those issues, the researchers had not screened. They already had pre-existing kidney conditions. So, and I haven't said this yet, if you have no pre-existing conditions, your kidneys are fine, your liver's fine, you know, you're a healthy individual, these supplements are safe to take. If you do have diabetes, you have liver disease, you have kidney disorder, anything like that, you do need to speak with your doctor before taking any of these. And I always recommend talking to your doctor. You know, personally, my doctor told me not to take creatine. I've had a doctor told me not to take creatine because it was making my heart race, which we ended up finding out later was because I was pregnant. So, you know, keep in mind that, and I do not mean to, this is, I shouldn't even say this, but I do not mean to bash the medical profession. I do not want you to stop trusting your doctor. Just keep in mind that a lot of physicians are not as up to date in the nutritional world as they may like to be. You know, it's just not their specialty. You know, I wouldn't want you guys coming to me with, you know, some kind of an ailment and being like, hey, can you diagnose this? I don't keep up with that. You know, so it's why I recommend going to someone who specializes in nutrition, specializes in medicine, you know, to go to these respective things. But if your doctor does recommend you do not take it, please defer to your physician or find a new physician who will clear you to do it. Don't, well, please, I am not to ever override any advice from your physician. Like I said, it must be creatine monohydrate. You know, they're always coming out with, you know, newer, better, whatevers, but those have not been shown to be safe or even effective. Creatine monohydrate is actually incredibly inexpensive. I think that I paid, you know, if you go to GNC and you get their, you know, their small bottle, it's about $10, and it lasted me about a year. It is incredibly cheap. I think when I figured it out, it cost about 8 cents a serving. So, excuse me. So to, you know, to say that you take this after your ice and your fire workouts, you know, at most you're looking at about a quarter worth of creatine a week. The muscles involved in your workout are going to take up the most creatine. So if you're really, like, for example, wanting to boost your legs, you know, your leg definition or something like that, you can take extra creatine after leg day. You know, it's those specific muscles are going to work a little bit better. Like I talked about before, creatine is a critical component in energy production. It also has shown to increase your strength, increase your fat burning potential, and other things like that. They have many other non-exercise benefits, such as memory improvements. They actually use these in individuals who have had brain issues and that kind of thing. They use it in young children who have motor disorders. There's a lot of applications for this. You can take this pre or post-workout. Post-workout is shown to be more beneficial, whereas pre-workout could have performance benefits. So if you have athletic aspirations, taking it before your exercise could help you with performance. You can take it pre and post-workout for intense exercise, but I think for the most of us in this group, just sticking to post-workout is going to be best. Your dosage is going to depend on your goals. Now, if you want to gain lean mass, gain mass in general, 5 grams is the recommended dose. If you're specifically interested in weight loss, 2 to 3 grams is ideal. Sticking more to that 2 grams is probably best. And then if you have athletic performance goals, like let's say you're training for a half marathon, training for a marathon or a half marathon or a triathlon, something like that, doing a loading dose, creatine loading may be really beneficial to help you to stick, to just kind of improve your energy and that kind of thing. We're switching over to omega-3s. We have 3 types, and we may have touched on this briefly before. There's ALA, EPA, and DHA, and I am not going to even try to pronounce what those full words are. I actually think ALA is like alpha-linoleic acid, but I could be wrong. ALA is what you're finding in your flax seeds, in your flax oil, that kind of thing. The upregulation is only about 2 to 5% to be converted to EPA and DHA. Each one, DHA is the gold standard, it's like the top one. It really has a lot of benefits in like brain health and that kind of thing. So each one is going to upregulate just a little bit. So a little bit of about 2 to 15% of ALA will convert to EPA. A portion of that will convert to DHA, but not enough where the ALA is going to satisfy all of your needs. Any trans fats that you consume, that's going to decrease your upregulation further. And the older that we get, is going to make that a little more difficult. The EPA and DHA, those come from fish and marine sources, which is why the fish oil is so important. Cholesterol is a huge thing that can be combated by taking bioactive omega-3s. It's going to improve, a better omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is going to balance your cholesterol. And LDL lowering has been shown as effective as statins. When you take the fish oil, I believe it's somewhere around 30%. EPA is shown to downgrade a major pathway of muscle loss, which means that you can preserve more muscle by taking fish oil. It's going to help with your inflammation, and it's actually going to help efficiently transport nutrition into your cells. Like any supplements, like omega-3s, vitamins, etc., your best bet is to consume it with food. You want at least 500 milligrams of EPA and DHA daily. When you're purchasing a supplement, you want to make sure that it actually says on there that it has 2 to 500 milligrams of DHA and at least 1 to 500 milligrams excuse me, of EPA per serving. It's really important that this is clearly stated. There are a lot of different types of fish oils, a lot of different levels of omega-3s. So unless it clearly states this level of this amount of DHA and EPA, does not necessarily mean you're getting enough. There are currently, to the date of this that I'm aware of, no concrete recommendations on how much omega-3s to consume. It's estimated about 3 to 6 grams total daily would be enough, but there's not a whole lot of evidence to back that up yet. So, sticking with the 500 milligrams and kind of see how it works from there. Contaminants should be removed. You're better off, in all honesty, taking omega-3s to get your fish oil source from marine life because of mercury and other contaminants that are just out there. Because they're able to kind of refine that. In winter, consider cod liver oil because it's higher in vitamins A and D, which our bodies tend to need more in winter. And like I said before, they've been as effective as lowering cholesterol stats. Talking about carb supplements and sports drinks, we have three different branches of carbs. Sports drinks are typically isotonic. So this is a lot of kind of gibberish overall as far as what it means. But when you look at post-workout, about 10 to 12% solution. So that's looking at how much water that you have versus how many grams of carbohydrates. Taking it post-workout does not impair fat metabolism, it actually enhances it. There's studies that show that it's essentially impossible to store fat in the window after your workout, after an intense workout. So when you talk about this insulin cascade, your muscles become sensitive following the workout. So when you introduce these fast digesting carbohydrates, your body produces insulin, and insulin grabs up all of these carbohydrates and glucose and sugar in your body and brings it right to your muscles, which helps them not only grow to give you that conditioning and tone, but also helps you burn fat, increases your metabolic rate, but it also improves your recovery. So if you're less sore after exercise, that you have more energy following your workout the next day, and so forth. And then talking about the synergistic effect, combining your carb supplements with whey protein and creatine is kind of it essentially means 1 + 1 + 1 = 5. It's the sum is just much greater than its parts. Taking your carbohydrates up, and this could be your sports drinks, could include Gatorade, that kind of thing. Keep in mind that liquid premixed Gatorade does have high fructose corn syrup. Fructose being a sugar that has some processed in the liver, so it does take longer to digest. So if you are going to do a Gatorade or something like that, I recommend highly doing the powder form, which sticks with the regular glucose. You want to take it pre-workout for energy and to prevent and reduce muscle breakdown. So this could be supplements, this could be sports drinks. Keep in mind you can also very easily get this, meet this requirement from your, a banana or bread or rice cake, something like that. If for some reason you are doing exercise longer than 60 minutes, like if you're training for a marathon or something like that, you do need to have a carb supplement with your protein. And then you also want it after your workout for recovery. And like we said before, about 1 kilogram per kilogram of body weight. And finally, vitamins and minerals, they act as cofactors for reactions. So cofactors being something that the body needs to make that reaction happen. Things like energy production, tissue formation, cell replication, oxygen transfer, so your body can process oxygen well. That's going to be something to, vitamin and mineral deficiency can impair your body's overall function. It doesn't necessarily going to help you exercise better, but it will limit your performance and recovery, so they are important. And like we talked about earlier, there really should be as insurance. Your body is going to get better results getting these nutrients from whole foods. It can process them other because that's what it's designed to do. So that's why we see a lot more higher numbers in so much concentrated doses in your in a vitamin. These show some toxic levels of vitamins and minerals. The fat soluble vitamins, water soluble are just your body's going to excrete them. But fat soluble, those could become toxic, and the fat soluble are A, E, B, and K. There is research to show that vitamin C above 2 grams a day, 2,000 milligrams, can actually suppress your immune system rather than improve it. Contamination is a real issue with supplements because there's been lots of evidence to show that there are things added or switched into supplements. So it's really important to be, like I said earlier, going with a reputable brand. Always save it with food. And keep in mind that your most common nutrient deficiencies are in the B vitamins like folate and B12, vitamin C, and especially for women, iron. But that doesn't mean that you should supplement with iron unless directed to do so, because you can get iron toxicity. The best thing to do, honestly, for iron is to be eating, a couple of servings of red meat every week, fish, leafy greens, and so forth. And then again, if you have any, checking references, that will. I really hope that wasn't on backwards the whole time. I just realized that when I exited the screen, it looked backwards. So hopefully that wasn't the case. But if you have any questions, please get in touch with me this week. We've got a couple of weeks left, and I want to make sure that everyone really has a good understanding of everything that we're going over and is able to utilize this information in the best way possible. And I was going to share with you, let me find this. Informedchoice.org is an organization that tests sports nutrition products. If you visit informed-choice.org, informedchoice.org, you can go to for athletes and coaches and go to registered products. And you can see the list of the products here. I've personally used the GNC products, the Dymatize, and your Optimal Energy, Optimal Nutrition ON. See any others that I have used, but looking just to double check. But those are, personally, my recommendation is to go to DNC, try out their stuff, and they have a really great return policy. You can turn it within like 10 or 30 days. If you don't like it, you can take it back. And they actually tend to carry not just their DNC products, but I know they do carry Dymatize and ON. So that's a really great way to find out if you like it before you're stuck with something that you might not taste it. You may not taste it. And I will say this as a caveat, sometimes you just may not care for the taste of the whey protein. It'll grow in you. Start, just chugging down an 8-ounce supplement, 6 to 8 ounce supplement. The benefits from the whey outlast the taste. Just throw it back. Just do it. They do make unflavored versions. I know GNC has an unflavored version that you can kind of hide in something else if it's really bad. But I would definitely say either keep trying until you find something, or just kind of suck it up, because it's well worth the results that you'll see. So on that note, thanks for joining today, and if you're watching the replay, thanks for checking it out. I will be emailing you guys tomorrow on Friday to have a look at your weekly logs and see how things are going. So make sure to get all those questions in so that we can make sure we're helping you get on the right track as fast as possible. All right, have a great week.